Good morning, this is Jack from the ArtChart.net, and this is the pre-market recording for Friday, the 10th of July. Our disclaimer, it is for educational purposes only. We're here to share a technical analysis with you. We hope you can take some of what we're doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts, and not here to issue trading signals. Right, hoping you've read my post from last night. Obviously, we're at an interesting inflection point here, and this can go either way. The bear scenario, which could have started delivering overnight and thought about it but didn't, was that, and is, that we are forming a head and shoulders here, and it's quite a nice one. This is the one I was talking about as a possibility on Tuesday morning. Came down to the 3106 area, we did. Went up to the 31.55 area, which would be the ideal right shoulder high, and we did. And we actually formed a double top there. That didn't quite make target, which is slightly annoying. It's a couple of handles short overnight, but that did make target, and it's come back up. And we've still got resistance in the 31.55 area. I will be, the bear scenario will start deteriorating fairly rapidly on a move over 31.55, and if it is, if 31.55 is converted, that's going to be not looking good at all. And if we make a break over yesterday's high, then the bear scenario is coming apart fairly severely at that stage. Although we could still just retest this high here and make the second top of a double top, maybe. But I have to say we'd lose a lot of the nicest things about the scenario at the moment. In terms of the signals here, obviously we've made the signal on ES. We haven't made it on NQ, although, wow, this has really been moving. So this is a potential nested double top forming. Could see a little high here, retest the high overnight, and then we've got nested double tops that could take us down into about the 10.350 area, but this has been very, very strong. So we'll see. RTY, we've got a 60-minute buy signal trying to fix there. Actually, we actually did a full retest of yesterday's low overnight. There is a potential double bottom there, and if we break up that and convert the convert the double bottom resistance in about the 1407 area, then that could take us back up to the monthly pivot and maybe higher. YM. Again, another little potential double bottom. We don't have positive divergence there, or possibly a really, really small amount. But again, this could take us back up to the monthly pivot and beyond, probably a double bottom target in about the 26,000 area. That would be the scenario where we would retest the recent high on ES. DAX and the STX, slightly muddy looking head and shoulder pattern here, which may really already have failed. It's not ideal, but I think partially it's formed the way it has because we're forming this beautiful head and shoulders on ESTX, which is really nice, and it's broken down. And the choice today on ESTX is whether it's going to reject. Now, if it gets back over the right shoulder high, which is in the 33.20 area, then this has failed, and chances are this is going to go back to the retest of this high. So waiting to see if that happens, and we'll see. ESTX has almost made it to the retest of the June high, and if it makes it back to this high, then it's going to make it back in all probability to this one. Okay, let's have a quick look at the scenario that I was looking at last night on the post. Now, on the 5-minute chart, which I actually haven't got in here, so I'm going to put that in now. I was looking at, and this is the bull scenario here, and it's quite a nice looking bull scenario, I've got to say. And this is the 5-minute chart, and this is a perfect bull flag channel. It's really, really nice. And this was the low yesterday. And if we break up and make it over yesterday's high, but just a little below yesterday's high, then chances are this is going to head back to a retest of this high at 31.84. If that was the case, I would expect to retest the ES high at 31.84 as well, and we could open up a potential retest of the June high, which is in the 32.20s. And that's the bull scenario, and it's not a bad one. It's looking still fine right now. I mean, we may be forming that head and shoulders, but obviously, we need some direction today. In terms of the 15-minute chart, I didn't post it yesterday, but there isn't actually a bad setup here for a wedge, and that could take us up to that high retest potentially. It's just just doodling really, but I'm always looking for potential patterns. What I'd be sorry to lose is this. And this is the very nice potential. Well, actually, this is already established. You need 4 touches to establish the trend line. So we've got a pretty nice looking bull flag channel here on SPX. Now, this would be a very good match. If we were to break down today, this would be a very, very nice match with stands 28.80 low in August, because we could get to the bottom of this bull flag. Now, well, not all bull flags break up, but usually they do break up. So my expectation would be we'd working assumption would be that we'd head back to resistance and then break up and retest the June high and possibly go higher, possibly make the second high of a double top there. So, but that's a very good match. But the thing is, for that to happen, we have to respect these highs here. Yesterday's high needs to not be broken, really. There's not a huge amount of tolerance in here. By the time we get back to 3184, this channel would be broken. And that would be a shame because it's a lovely channel. So would that mean we were breaking up directly from a bull flag towards this high at 32.33? Yes, it might mean that. So I would be wondering about that for sure. Okay, great. Let's have a look at the daily middle band and the daily chart, because here is the support that if we are to see the bear scenario run, if we see this head and shoulders breakdown, this is the importance of the support here. Yesterday we had the daily middle band close at 3100. We've got the monthly pivot at 3099, and we've got the weekly pivot at 3098. That is a lot of support in a three-handle range. Yeah, with the daily middle band will probably be a little higher today, but basically that's our support level. If we can break and convert that, then we can be on the way back down to that 2880. I mean, we could get there anyway by another route later on, but this is a scenario where we could be heading there right now. That head and shoulders 3155 I would like to see hold this morning, or pretty close to it, and I would like to see the breakdown, and we would need to convert 3100. Could that happen on a Friday? Well, it wouldn't usually happen on a Friday, but possibly. Otherwise, I'd like to see a gap down over the weekend that took us through it. So we will see how that goes. But we've got a nice bull scenario, we've got a nice bear scenario. Generally speaking, the bulls have been having a pretty good run lately. So I was saying that technically I like the bear scenario better, because apart from anything else, we've still got this open 60-minute sell signal on SPX. In terms of giving the bulls the benefit of the doubt, I think they've kind of been earning that lately. So I'm treating these as even odds, even though the bear setup is technically nicer. And I have to say it's a mark against the bears that they actually had a move back to the head and shoulder neckline, or pretty close to it, yesterday, and couldn't sustain it overnight, and we're heading back up to 3155 resistance, it looks like. So we will see. Keeping an open mind, the market will give us the direction, and we're probably going to see that today. Although if we do go back to the head and shoulder neckline and we're testing 3100 again, then we'll have to see, because it may be that the decision would then be made over the weekend. Okay, other instruments. DX. DX is broken up from over a pretty nice three-touch resistance trend line. I was talking about, actually, was that nice? No, it was okay. I mean, so we could just be forming a less steep resistance trend line, but I am wondering about a possible test of the monthly pivot from here and potentially higher if that can be converted. ZB, nice move up, got no negative divergence here, nothing solid saying that this is going to reverse. Watching rising support, which I've currently got in about the 179.18 area, but I think Stan's thinking we might be starting to move up into the 190 area. I've not got anything to support that really, but I think sooner or later we are likely to do that move, and that could be starting now. We'll see. CL, I was posted last night. We had a nice looking little level top that had a target of the monthly pivot. We went and tested the monthly pivot overnight. A 60-minute buy signal is fixed, and I'm thinking this might be heading back for a retest. Actually, we're quite a way short of making target on that signal. I'm still wondering whether we might do a retest of this high here in the 4160 area. NG, nice retracement here. It's holding the monthly pivot more or less. Didn't have positive divergence at the low, which was a bit surprising given the way that it came down. So we may be finding full support at monthly pivot and maybe heading back up from here. So we will see. We got into Stan's 175 area. Got to say, it could have been a nicer low on the divergence, but this could well be the low nonetheless, waiting to see. Not at an obvious trend line here, but you don't always get one. GC. GC may be topping out here, mainly because SI, which I've been looking at and thinking it's probably going to keep going up as long as SI hasn't made the retest here, has made that retest. We haven't got any negative divergence on either. They don't have to stop here, but I've run out of upside targets, so it may be that we are going to see a stop. Although there were a lot of nice short-term TA setups in the pre-market today. When that's the case, do you find that continues later during RTH? Well, actually, this is a bit of a bugbear of mine lately, because really most of the really nice setups have been overnight. That's been the case for months, and it's a real pain in the ass. Obviously, if you can just trade the nights, that's fine. But I mean, if you look at this morning, for instance, just have a look at this on the 5-minute. We had a nice high yesterday. We had a beautiful low yesterday, but the problem with that low was there was a distinct possibility we were on a trend day down. And I have to say, counter trend. I've seen a lot of beautiful counter trend setups on potential trend days that failed badly because they were trend days. This one wasn't a trend day, so it played out and it played out beautifully. But that was the nicest one we've seen on the last day was overnight. Here it is. It's gorgeous. Lovely double bottom, 5-minute buy signal, gorgeous divergence. We've not been getting that during the day really, and that's annoying. And most of the I've got one friend who's really been trading most of the nights lately, and sort of passing on most of the days just because most of the nice technical setups are at night. I don't know why that is, but it's certainly been. These things tend to run for a period and then it ends and moves to something else. This isn't something that is usual, but it is something that has been more the case lately. So I mean, this week, for instance, we've had 2 days which were just complete technical deserts. On Tuesday and Wednesday, they were grim. Really, nothing. Divergences meant nothing. The only decent buy signal of the day would fail. Tuesday. It was very irritating. So a lot of the days recently have been far less technical than the nights. And a lot of the best setups come an hour or 2 before the open or 3 hours before the open, and that's kind of annoying. And I have to say, it's got me thinking about starting 3 hours early in the morning, just to try and catch that. So I'm hoping this isn't going to be lasting indefinitely, but certainly technically the days are much less good than the nights recently, which is annoying from a day trading point of view. Okay, right, HG. HG, possible double top forming here. We are on a 60-minute sell signal. Retest the high, nice looking double top. Waiting to see if this delivers. It may or may not. That may well follow whichever way ES breaks today, and it could very much break either way. EURUSD. A lot of support and monthly pivot holding so far. As long as that continues to hold, we should be on the way back to the retest of this high. GBP USD, we've had a sell signal here. It's made the possible near miss target pretty much. I don't know, it's marginal whether it made it. Looks like it's heading back to a retest of the high. Largely this depends on DX, but if DX resumes the downtrend from a close back test of the monthly pivot and the EURUSD testing the monthly pivot as support, then there's no reason this shouldn't continue higher. And the main target above is first the retest of this high here, and then a trend line in the 132 area. USD JPY, a nice wedge here, and that's broken down. Now this wedge, if it actually makes target on this sort of against the usual break, but it does this about 30% of the time, and they tend to be more reliable on making targets. I'm not convinced this isn't turning into a channel or something, but I'm not seeing a channel at the moment, and this may just have broken down towards a retest of this low, in which case that would be supporting DX down. USD CAD, nothing really that interesting on a pattern basis here. Had a bit of a rally here, back over the monthly pivot, failing at the weekly pivot so far. May well fail there, but we don't have any negative divergence. Australian dollar, I think these are relatively rare, but I think this might be a triangle. These tend to be a bullish pattern. Target would be basically, a rectangle. The rectangle target would be basically the space between the rectangle expanded above. So this could be a pattern which could take us back to here. These are a pretty rare pattern, but they're not bad for making target. And so far, this is a pretty nice looking rectangle, and I like these patterns. So if we get a break over 70, then we're probably on the way back to retesting this high pretty shortly afterwards. NZUSD, likely to be on the way to a retest of the high, I think. 60-minute sell signals reach the possible near miss target, more or less. I'm writing it off at this stage in any case. KC, still wondering about a retest of this low, failing at the monthly. Well, it's back below the monthly pivot so far, so it's failed to convert that to support. Obvious next move would be a retest of this low. SB, obvious next move would be a retest of this high, but it doesn't seem enthusiastic about getting there. I am wondering whether we might have a larger flag forming, which might involve a lower low. CC, we've got no obvious bottoming action here at the moment, so probably needs a retest of this low. It might be that we're just going to have a messy low. That does happen sometimes, but it would be annoying. Wheat, retest. Actually, yeah, retest this high, overnight high, this high here, and we will get some 60-minute sell signal brewing. We have, I think, retested this high here, which was the next obvious target. Have we retested it? not quite. Probably needs to retest that, head up to the 532 area. Possible inflection point there for a reversal lower. Corn went beautifully to the retest I was talking about. Buy signal made target. No divergence at the high, but we do have a potential double top setup here. Stan's been talking about a possible retracement in grains. Might be looking at one starting to form on corn here. So if we see sustained break back below 339, that could actually get us a long way back to this low. I think the target would be in about the 323 area. Soy, does this still look like a head and shoulders forming? Not really, no. My lean would be it's probably going to need a retest this high. And this is probably some kind of a bull flag forming. Live cattle broke up through flag resistance, been consolidating. Looks like a small bull flag forming. Still expecting to see a retest of this high here in the 101.91 area. And lean hogs has gone higher. Probably a larger bear flag forming. No obvious resistance trend line, so watching it with interest. But to be honest, not really getting my hopes up on the long side. Okay, what questions, guys? What we got? Any questions this morning, apart from the one I've already answered? Yeah, welcome, Doug. It's my pleasure as always. It should be an interesting day today. I'm going to miss the first half an hour because I've got to go and collect my son from school. So if there's an AM high, I might miss it. But if we get a decent one afterwards, I'll be calling it. Don't underestimate the bulls today. This is a bear setup that could easily fail. A lot of bear setups have been failing lately. I wouldn't be that surprised to see this one fail either. Watching this resistance, I have to say it's held like a champ so far. It may well continue to hold, and if it does, then that bear scenario, which would be short-term bear scenario, then probably come back and retest the high scenario. But I mean, Stan and I have a lovely match down into 28.80. After that, it diverges because it will look a lot like flag for me, and flags usually break up. But this one wouldn't have to, but it just probably would. But we got a lovely setup here, beautiful trend lines, beautiful bear setup. This would be the nicest one to fail in a while, but you know we have had bear setups fail lately, and the problem is the bears get down to levels, but they fail to convert them to resistance. And to start the ball rolling seriously, they've got to convert a decent level to resistance. We have a beautiful level at 3100. We've gone down, retested it. It's got to be retested again, and it's got to be converted to resistance to open up that scenario. Waiting to see if the bears can manage that. Don't know if they can manage it on a Friday. Fridays don't tend to be that great for that, but we shall see. All right, cheers, guys. Catch you later. Yeah, you too. I will have a restful weekend. I think I'm going to be sleeping very late tomorrow. All right, cheers, guys.